Hi, my name is Kiki Solade. Um, I'm 30. I live and work in Lagos, Nigeria. Um, the day that I experienced loss was on the 24th of May 2012. Um, and my that was the day that my brother died. I remember where I was at the time. I was living in the UK. I was in my mum's house in Birmingham, and I had just taken a nap and I had woken up to several missed calls from my cousin. And when I called her back, um, she kept asking me how I was and kind of telling me sorry. And I was like, why are you telling me sorry? Like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, because of your brother. And I was like, what about my brother? And she was like, because your brother passed away. And I was like, what? I was like, no, my brother didn't pass away. Like, I literally spoke to him 2 days ago. Like, he's fine. Like, and what do you mean? Like, which brother? Because I had two brothers. And she was like, your brother, the one in Lagos. And she said his name. And I was like, that's not possible. I would have known. And, at that time, I went to talk to my mom and ask her, have you heard anything? And she was like, no. So I started calling around and trying to get answers. And obviously, nobody would really give me answers. I called my dad, who was in Nigeria, and he wasn't really giving me answers. And my mom was then beginning to freak out. And then, oh, yeah, that's basically what happened. Um, my encounter with grief and when did the feelings start? To be honest, when it happened, I was obviously shattered, but I hadn't actually begun the grieving process until months later. I was the oldest of four children, so I was expected to kind of be strong for my parents and strong for my siblings. And so I really blocked my grief. My brother died in May, and I don't think I really started to grieve until about September. And at this point, I had come back from Nigeria after the funeral. I'd come back to the UK and I was starting uni, and I realized that the grief had started to kick in. I started to have anxiety. I started to have panic attacks. I started to be in denial. It was like the shock had taken over. It was like, even though I had, gone to the funeral and I had buried my brother, in my head, he was not dead. I still felt like he was on holiday somewhere. So, yeah, I think it started in September, and it really started with anxiety, panic attacks, denial, and then the depression, kicked in. Um, yeah, I'd been through bad times, not related to loss, but related to other things. I had struggled like at uni. I had already had like a bit of anxiety and depression already, but they were definitely amplified after my brother had passed away. No, I did not seek professional help because of the stigma that's attached to it. I had been told by like friends and family members, especially in the UK, that if you did speak up about struggling with like, anxiety or depression, that you would be medicated or you would be sanctioned. And I was not sanctioned, sorry, sectioned. And I was very anxious about that. So I didn't seek help. Um, I got some support from my friends, obviously limited due to their own understanding and capacity of dealing with things like that. I didn't really get much support from my family, and I didn't ask for support from my family because I felt that they were all going through so much and I had to be strong for everyone. But so I shied away from asking for help, and to be honest, nobody really reached out and tried to help me. And even till now, nobody still, you know, reaches out or tries to find out about my grief or how I'm dealing with it. I mean, it's never been something that I felt that other people have cared about in relation to me. It's never been, nobody has cared for my grief. Um, Dealing with grief definitely made me feel very alone. It made me feel frustrated. It made me feel angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at the world. I was angry at my family. I was angry at myself for not doing more, for not being more, for not being more present and more active in my brother's life. I felt guilty. I felt a lot of things, a lot of things. And I don't know. Have I accepted the loss? I'm not sure. Um, I still suffer a lot, and I still struggle with accepting that my brother is gone. So, no, I don't think I've fully accepted it. I think I've accepted it a little bit, but not fully. Um, Definitely not. And I don't think my emotional state will ever return to how it was before the event happened. I don't think that's possible. Um, I think I will always still hurt. Nothing can take me back to feeling how I felt before my brother passed away. I think it's something that I will always have to live with. It's a pain that I'll always have to carry. I don't think it's something that I can revert or go back to. Um, what advice would I give to my younger self dealing freshly with grief? I would I would tell myself that I didn't have to be so strong for everybody. I would allow myself be more vulnerable. I would allow myself to be more weak. I would allow myself to seek help. I definitely would have reached out more. I would tell my younger self to reach out more and to be more expressive um, about my grief. I wouldn't bottle it all up and keep it within. Was there any other loss suffered as a result of this loss? Yes, loss of confidence, um, physical confidence. Like my brother passed away um, playing football. He collapsed and, you know, had a cardiac arrest and passed away. And for a couple of months after my brother passed away, I lost confidence in my own physical stability. I always felt that I was gonna collapse, and sometimes I'd be walking on the street and I'd have to stop and check my balance. And it took me a while to like regain that physical confidence back. Um, I lost a lot of emotional strength as well. I became very emotional, and I think I've become a more emotional person, which some may say is not a bad thing. Um, but I feel like I break down a lot easier now. Before my brother passed away, if things hurt me, I could kind of power through. But now it's like I'm a blubbery mess every time, and I think that's just. I mean, I don't know why that's happened, but I think it's obviously stemmed from my brother's passing. Yeah.